Hey everybody, welcome to the Tuesday night call. We are in the Raise Your Frequency series. Oh my gosh, we only have three more Tuesday nights to go. Well, two after tonight. And boy, we have had a rock and roll kind of Raise Your Frequency series up until now. So we can't wait to make it an incredible program. But so welcome everyone. And while people are still coming through, which is really wonderful, but we want to tell you a little bit about, and we're only going to spend a couple of minutes on this, but this is a flagship product. Bonnie and I started the 8th Chakra company a couple of years and a half ago. And this product for us is dear to our hearts. We do this for free. It's a gift to all of you that are here to always support us with so much love. And we definitely gift this to you because it's such an incredible program. We go into the Akashic Records before the call. We're bringing in wisdom, information, and really what we're all about is helping all of us to master what it is to be human. And so this conversation is really about raising your frequency. All of the Tuesday night calls are about raising your frequency, especially if we're in the series called Raising Your Frequency. Tonight, we're going to be talking about beings and foreign energy, wanted and unwanted. Oh my goodness. I can't even, which is, with Halloween coming up in another month or so, that's a great thing. And then today is the anniversary of 9/11. We're going to talk a little bit about that because there is a major significance about 9/11 in the Akashic Records. So welcome again, everyone. And just by showing up, whether you're listening to us live or you're listening to the recording later on at some point on SoundCloud, your frequency is being raised just by showing up. So thanks for being here. Go ahead, Bonnie.
All right. So I get the opportunity to talk about what makes us different. And I just want to take one moment to say, I just put into the chat for everybody to talk about how the sound is coming across, because sometimes it's going in and out for me and it's hard to tell whether it's me or it's Lily or it's some combination. We are absolutely clearing whatever is getting in the way. So first of all, I want to let all of you know that Lily and I work intimately with the angelic realm and with the masters, teachers, and loved ones in the Akashic realm to bring you these high-frequency healings. And we actually open up the Akashic Records before we get on this call, and we ask for the information to come in very clear for the 8th Chakra community and to have as much new information and healing as available. The third thing that makes us very different, something that you won't find anywhere else, is that we do set the intention for you all to walk away with as much clear information about our topic. Tonight we are talking about beings and foreign energy, wanted and unwanted. And so we want you to know, what they are and how all of this works and how it can specifically help you. We want you to walk away with clarity and understanding and healing and information. We definitely are here to hear whatever is there for you tonight.
Indeed. And we never know what's going to happen. Bonnie and I, we open the records, and even though we do sometimes, we always do talk about who's going to say what, so this way we're not talking over each other. But as far as the information, we never know what's going to come through. So sometimes it's a real shocker to us what comes through. Last Tuesday night, we had some shocker information coming through that we totally weren't expecting. But that is usually the way that it is. So in the first half hour of the call, we're going to be entering into the conversation about foreign energy and beings and all of that. And we want you to participate because in the second half of the call, when we start bringing in messages from the Akashic realm and from the angelic realm, a lot of times their answers are in great part based on your questions and your comments. So make sure that you raise your hand because we do want you to participate and put yourself into the conversation. And that's how we get to that interactive experience that we all want. And because we're all having different experiences, but we are a community that has a certain frequency in common, or we wouldn't all be here together. So the way that you participate is at the bottom of your screen, there's a place where you can scroll, and you'll have an opportunity to either chat or raise your hand. And I believe by clicking on participants, and I think they changed the format, Bonnie, but I believe by clicking on participants, you'll get a little window on the right-hand side that'll give you the option to raise your hand. Or you can move your mouse around at the bottom of the screen, and you'll find the place where you can raise your hand or chat. So make sure that you do that. And when you do raise your hand and we call on you, we'll unmute you so that you can speak, and then you'll be a part of the conversation, and that's how we'll do that, okay? So make sure that you do raise your hand and participate with us. We want to hear your voice. And then again, in the second half of the call, we're gonna be connecting with specific information and bringing in the healing for us all. We're gonna be doing alchemy, and we're gonna be doing theta healing, and bringing in a lot of healing for all of us. We all need healings around foreign energy, and luckily, the cosmos has been sending us a lot of fabulous cosmic frequencies and energy for us to enjoy as the light comes through and we elevate all low frequencies into high frequencies. So that's a really good news for us all. All right, Bonnie, are we ready to just jump into this conversation?
I think we are definitely ready to jump into the conversation as soon as we clear more karma and agreements and move out some more beings, of course, because it just keeps showing up. There's like a ton of stuff that's misbehaving, but it must be misbehaving, so we can certainly talk about it. So yeah, let's start with what you've already referenced, is that today is 9/11. It is September 11th, and we absolutely want to acknowledge this event that has happened in American history. We want to acknowledge those people who passed in all ways, the ones who actually passed in the building, but also the people who have passed in service to helping them, because there has certainly been a lot of that. I think we're now at 17 years since it happened. That would be really easy math, Bonnie. Come on. 17 years. There have been a lot of people who have passed because of that. And the event of 9/11 is actually also very uniquely important to those of us who read the Akashic Records as well. And it is the event that actually cracked open the heart of humanity and made the Akashic Records available to everyone. Prior to 9/11, it was a practice that was sort of reserved for people who studied it for a long period of time and who were really working at it. And it was the event of 9/11 that made it available to everyone. I know there's not a person anywhere in the world who is not aware of the shift that happened. It was definitely a world event, even though it just happened here. And so we want to acknowledge all of that, this parts to it as well. Did you want to add anything on that, Lily?
Well, just that 9/11 is such a great example of the divinity in everything, and how we can connect with, while the tragedy that occurred, we experienced it as a tragedy, but actually every single person that perished in that event did so through agreement. Their essence and their soul was there by agreement, and it was a soul moving experience that actually accelerated their spiritual growth and their awareness, and how their consciousness was connecting in a way of service to the entire humanity, or to the entire collective on the planet, including other life forms besides just human beings, because there was a lot. And 9/11 is not obviously the only tragic event that this world has gone through. Oh my goodness. We've just heard a couple of examples of people that visited Hawaii. Bonnie's daughter Sarah is just now returning from Hawaii and experienced so much heaviness there from Pearl Harbor, which was another major tragic event. But the important thing for us all to understand is that all experiences that we move through, we are moving through them through agreement, and because our soul has said, I want to have that experience so that I can learn this, or so that I can have the teaching of this, or so that I can heal this. And a lot of times the teaching is actually in the service that we step into for ourselves and for our fellow humans. So it's really a beautiful thing, and really one to feel an extreme level of gratitude to those individuals that did raise their hand and say, I'll be there. I'll be the one to cause this kind of experience for humanity. I'll be the one that suffers through this, that moves through this experience. I'll be the one that leaves my family, and I get really moved by that. And I feel tremendous amount of gratitude to those individuals. So that's what I wanted to say.
Well said. Well said. Thank you. Fabulous. And then let's talk some about foreign energy, which actually is just the continuation of that. We'll start with is what foreign energy is. And foreign energy is any of the low frequencies that a body is actually not supposed to be.
Yeah, we're having a lot of, I'm hearing you in bits and pieces, Bonnie. You're breaking up a lot.
Yep, I'm getting that on you too. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I don't know which one of us it is. I'm going to try to switch my, see in case it's me, but so go ahead.
Okay, so Tracy, that's a great question, and we will definitely get to that. The foreign energy is the low frequencies that we experience, the anger, the fear, pain, the unconsciousness, all of those things that show up for us. Yeah, Dan, thank you very much. I have been seeing that back and forth, who has a weak signal and who doesn't. Lily, are you good to talk?
Now I'm showing that I have an unstable, but see, I switched networks, so I'm going to go back to the network that I had. Okay, so can you hear me okay? All right, we're going to do the best we can here. All right, so obviously we have some foreign energy that's impacting us here tonight. All right, so what is foreign energy? Well, foreign energy is really any energy that is not our own energy. And that's why we say wanted and unwanted, because foreign energy really can be anything that is not ours. So an angelic realm being could be considered foreign energy, but an angelic realm being of light would be considered wanted energy, versus someone that is not from the angelic realm that is causing harm or bringing in low frequencies that we don't want. And so that would be a foreign energy or a being that is unwanted. And we all have agreements and relationships with both foreign energy and beings that are low frequency and high frequency. So when we are invoking the Akashic realm and we're invoking the angelic realm, obviously we're interacting with foreign energy that we want. These are beings of light, beings of very, very high frequencies that are here to support us, kind of reach their hands out to us and help us along the path that we're moving. So it's really easy to identify foreign energy that is wanted from the unwanted, because one feels really, really good. One feels really loving and joyful and sweet and gentle and healing. And the other feels heavy and dense and not good. It feels like, no, I don't want to be with this energy. So anytime that we're experiencing emotions or states or conditions, whether it's mental states or emotional states or physical states, where we are not in our full glory of joy and peace and harmony, you can bet your bottom dollar that you're being influenced by unwanted energy of a low frequency. And what do you do with that? You move it out. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So I want to pause there and let's see if anyone has some questions or something that you want to bring up that you'd like to really interject here and have us for sure cover.
So Tracy's actually asking if we ever get people who get angry about us talking about people making agreements to die, to be murdered. And absolutely, I have had people who have been upset when they hear that information. And for me, it is an opportunity for me to have a conversation around agreements and the agreements that we make as souls. keeping in mind that we all are souls having an experience in a body. And prior to this incarnation, we made all sorts of agreements, including how we were going to be born and who we were going to be in relationship with, who our parents were going to be, our siblings, all of that. Every aspect of our life was handled by agreement prior to our incarnation. And that absolutely includes whatever way we pass. And there is no judgment around whether you pass, from cancer or from a freak accident or from being murdered, whether it's a mass murder or whether it's an individual murder. It is just an experience that our soul has agreed to have. And the rest of the information that comes around that, the pain and the anger and the frustration and the sadness, are just more of those low frequencies, which is exactly what we are talking about tonight, those low frequencies. And that's an indication of something that we want to move out.
Yeah. And actually, it's a great question, too, because it's very difficult for a lot of people to comprehend why they would choose or agree to be murdered or choose to have a child that gets murdered or kidnapped or hurt in some way. It's very difficult for us as human beings to accept that kind of awareness. But the reality of it is that it's really good news to know that we're in agreement. Because if we are in agreement with something, what does that mean? That means that we're the master of the design, that we created the design. And whenever you create a design, it means you have the power to change the design. And it means you have the power to change the reaction and everything how you relate to that design or that creation. And so it's really good news to know that we are the ones who have chosen and agreed to every single experience in our life, no matter how horrific it might be. And in the way that we relate to it and the way that we interpret it is going to be directly associated with the quality of our lives and how much joy and how much bliss that we are able to experience, regardless of the circumstances and regardless of the agreements that we consciously or unconsciously created and brought into our energetic field. So it's really, really good news.
Do you know what I love about the questions that are being put up is that there's a lot of questions around these agreements, and we are actually going to be talking about that next week. We're going to be talking, we call it Ask Your Essence, Your Soul, and the agreements that you make. And so I think it's awesome for us to talk about this as well tonight and the agreements that we make, but we're going to definitely get into a lot more detail next week about this, but there are agreements that we can change, keeping in mind that everything is a soul decision, that everything starts with what our soul has in mind for us. It's not like our personality can say, well, I don't like the agreement that, this is how I'm going to be. This is, when I'm going to get married, or that I'm not going to have children, or that I am going to have children in some cases. But it is a soul agreement, soul to soul agreement. And so there are opportunities to change it, but it's not our personality that's in charge, ever.
Something that I've been really present to lately is that the absolute best or fastest path to shifting an agreement is to get the teaching that your soul wanted you to get when you made the agreement. When your soul made that agreement, your soul had something in mind that your soul wants to learn, that your soul wants a teaching about, that your soul wants to teach you, have you have that experience. And once you get that, once you understand what that teaching is, then it's really easy to change that agreement. And sometimes agreements will linger on even after we have shifted and gotten the lesson. And that's when canceling an agreement becomes very, very easy, because sometimes we stay in an agreement even though we're past what that agreement was supposed to have already accomplished. And so that often does happen. And it does happen from lifetime to lifetime, where we may be carrying an agreement that we made. For example, we might have made a protection agreement with a being to protect us, to, let's say, from maybe not seeing with our clairvoyance, because it wasn't safe to see with our clairvoyance. So then in that moment, our soul decides to make an agreement with a being to come in and protect us from seeing with our clairvoyance. That shuts down our clairvoyance. Fast forward 3 lifetimes later, now you're in a world and in a lifetime where it's no longer a danger for you to see clairvoyantly, but that being is still there in your clairvoyance, in your your clairvoyant channels. That being and you did not cancel the agreement, even though you no longer need that protection. And so that's when the understanding and the awareness is really useful, because then you can bring to the awareness that you no longer need that protection. And then you can cancel that agreement and you can clear your karma with that being. Thank that being for having been there for you to protect you when it was not safe for you to see clairvoyantly. Thank the being. Tell them, thank you for your protection. I no longer need you. Sayonara, see you later. And then you can send them on their way by canceling your agreement with them. I hope that makes sense. Anything you want to add?
Absolutely. You did a great job. Great job explaining it. The same way that Lily is talking about how we can bring in beings for us with intention, that we need some sort of protection. We can also bring beings into our space by agreement for things that we happen to do. So I often use the example of if you go to a plant ceremony and you are there, the moment that you agree to take whatever plant that is, if it's something that you're going to smoke or something that you're going to drink, that the moment that you do that, you have invited any of the beings that are attached in to that plant, you have invited those into your space. Now, it is not that all beings are bad. We are certainly not talking about bad versus good. We are actually talking, Lily and I like to use the phrase is more energy to harm and energy to heal. And it is really when you invite a being in, if they are there creating harm in your body, if they are creating low frequencies like pain and anger and fear, we don't want those things in our space. So it's not even a judgment around them being bad, or it's just who wants anything around us, whether we're talking about in the physical or we're talking about in the energetic world, that is creating pain and fear and harm to us. We definitely would not put up with having a friend who is constantly, beating on us. We would ditch them. We want to ditch these low frequency beings in the exact same way. So anything that is invited in, and it can be a wide array of ways that they come in, if they are creating harm, we want to move them out. If they are creating healing, we don't really notice them. We're like, yeah, stay, right?
Yeah, and it's important also to remember that all beings are divinity in form. In other words, all beings, whether we want them or not, whether they're low frequency or mid-range frequency or high frequency, all beings are an expression of God in form. Always, always, always. And Source does not distinguish the love that Source puts out to the universe between low frequency and high frequency in terms of who merits love and who does not merit love. That is not a distinction that Source is making. And so it's important for us to understand that if we relate to wanted and unwanted, it kind of takes the charge away, right? It takes the charge away from judging the beings or from saying, oh, they're bad, they're evil, they're good. The evil good thing is just, it doesn't work, because when you assign the label of evil to something, immediately you're invoking fear. And the reality is that everything that we bring into our experience, again, we're bringing it in through our agreements so that we can learn something, so that we can actually grow in our awareness. And so if we label it instead of as unwanted versus evil, then we can say, oh, that's just a frequency that I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in the low frequency of fear. I'm not interested in the low frequency of resentment and jealousy and hatred. I'm interested in the frequency of love and joy and bliss, and that's what I'm going to align to. And then you see it for what it really is, for really what it's worth, is just that it's frequency. And then you stay away from the low frequencies and you move towards the high frequency. And the more you raise your frequency, the more you're able to discern this, and the less you are judging it and making it wrong. Because the minute you start making it wrong, it starts to persist in your life, and then you become more and more afraid of it. So there's nothing to fear in beings wanted or unwanted, or beings that are unwanted. There's really nothing to fear. It's all about awareness and realizing that you can't actually move them out by bringing in those high frequencies of love and forgiveness and compassion. So that's a really beautiful awareness to have, that really for me became very, very obvious only in the last couple of years, but it's made a huge difference in my life. Absolutely.
And that actually brings us to another way that we create things in our space, is when we allow something into our space that creates fear. Remember, if you go back a couple of weeks, we actually talked about the quantum field, and we talked about the quantum field that actually exists out in the world. There is a quantum field there, and that is a very creative space. As well as we have a quantum field inside of us. We have an inner quantum field as well. And when we are in a place of fear, we are not only putting fear into our own personal quantum field, but we are often putting fear out into the quantum field, out into the world. So a great example for me is, given that there is a hurricane that is preparing to come ashore in South Carolina, we have had them, Lily and I both live in South Florida, and so we have had them happen to us. And we had one last year, I believe that was Irma that happened, and it was interesting to watch the energy of the hurricane coming through, and that the energy, the hurricane is actually picking up everything that is around it, and it's actually stirring up a lot of stuff. It's picking up a lot of beings, and it's creating a lot of fear. It has that potential. Haven't even really talked about the people on the ground that are announcing, please get out of the way, make sure you get your wood, all of those people who tend to do things to create more fear. And that goes out into the quantum field. And those are actually, those kinds of beings have more specific names. They are actually created from a fear, and they are beings that do not have a soul, but they're just as important for us to move out. We call them miasms. It's MIASMS. And those are, that it's created through fear and pain and low frequencies like that. And they're out in the quantum field, and you can literally begin to see them. As you start to be more clairvoyant, you start to see those things being created. Still stuff that we want to move out, because we don't want those things in our space either. We don't want anything that looks like fear or pain or a low frequency. So as well as watching what we do, what we invite into our space, we also want to watch what we're putting out into our space and what we might be creating as well.
So there's a download coming through for us, and it's the frequency of discernment. Wow, this must be a very high frequency audience, because discernment usually, wow, it's a very high frequency. So all of you really are ready, really are ready to receive this frequency. So that's like a major kudos. So if you're here with us tonight, or you're listening to our recording, you are receiving the frequency of discernment right now. And this frequency it's a yellow, it's kind of like between a yellow and an orange color as I am seeing it, but it also has a lot of gold associated with it. And I'm seeing white quartz as well along with it. It's very beautiful and bright, and it's coming in through the 8th chakra down into our spine, literally coming down to the vertebrae column and then moving out through the meridian system. And it feels really beautiful. It's very warm, and this frequency allows us to be able to understand and recognize immediately a low frequency and not judge it. this is a really important quality of the discernment frequency, is that it allows us to make decisions and choices about things without judging those things as good or bad, right or wrong, evil or good, whatever, the way that we judge so many things. And that is a very, very wonderful quality of the discernment frequency. And so we're all receiving that right now. And it's important to be in the awareness that you now have the ability to discern. So it's coming down very rapidly. It's like moving really, really rapidly through our energetic field. And it's absolutely beautiful. So, wow, that is really, really great. So you might be experiencing some warmth in your body, or maybe a little bit of just moving around. And if you're experiencing a little bit of nausea, that just means that your beings, any foreign energy that is attached to you that doesn't want you to discern, is getting a little altered. And so they're going to be getting moved out because they no longer can exist in that frequency that you're getting right now. If you're getting a frequency of discernment, there's going to be certain beings that are going to be moving out of your system. So that feels really good to me. Wow. I didn't expect that, Bonnie. Wow.
You know, and it's also interesting. We always talk about how we work so closely with the angelic realm, and it's really fun to actually see that members of the angelic realm, they're like coming in with containers and ordering those low frequencies into containers and actually moving them out. And it feels like I'm watching a factory, you know, of containers going, you know, through somebody's body and reassigning those low frequencies. So this is really cool because we have not done this kind of blatant healing out in the open, other than our Friday night call that we just did. So this is really awesome.
We're getting risky on these calls, Bonnie. I don't know. We're getting a little risky.
For sure. For sure. So we'd love to, we have like just a couple more minutes. If you have any other questions you want to ask, we would love to make sure that we get those in before we start getting information coming.
Yeah, because once we start bringing that information, you're not going to be able to answer and ask any questions. So right now's your chance.
Going once, going twice. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so if you're feeling those downloads, we would love to hear about that as well. We really appreciate having input with you all and knowing what's up with you, because this is really a call about you guys. You know, Lily and I could sit and talk to each other and give ourselves healings, and it would be awesome, which is what it always is when we're together. But we want to be able to do some work with you all as well. So thank you to everybody who's popping in those responses to how you're doing. Oh, we have a stuffy nose, Lily.
Can I share something?
Go ahead, Rosanna.
I just, hi everybody. I saw that there was a question asked and I didn't catch the answer. It was from Susan, that she asked if there was a general statement that we could use to ditch low frequency beings.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So the answer to that, and thank you for bringing it to our attention, because that definitely popped past my awareness, is we can always ask Source, Creator God, for a healing. We can also ask any one of the angelic realm for a healing. And I always suggest that you make it really simple. Can I please have a healing? Can I please have this anger moved out of me? Can I please have this more fear moved out of my body? And to trust that that is all you need to command for it to happen.
Yeah, and it's useful to be more specific, because if you make a general statement, then you're not getting awareness around it. So we want to have awareness. That's the reason why we experience low frequencies, is to raise our awareness. So when you do general statements, you're kind of bypassing the awareness.
True.
You don't want to do that. As far as the question about, I'd like to know more about soul groups. We're going to reserve that for next week. So make sure you tune in next week. We're going to be talking about soul groups and agreement. So that's going to definitely be a topic then. And then we're going to move on. But Isaac, to answer your question about sinuses, if any of you are experiencing any specific kind of discomfort anywhere in your body, it probably means that you're moving beings, because this frequencies that just came in for us, the discernment frequency, is a hugely powerful frequency. So wherever you're experiencing any discomfort, in your case, Isaac, you probably have some stuff going on in your sinuses, and that's getting cleared out right now. So the discomfort shouldn't last very long.
Right.
All right.
So Jill, I'm going to actually pick up on your question there, and then move right into the messages that I've been receiving. I've been actually sitting here taking some notes, and low frequencies exist everywhere in our bodies. They exist in our brain. They exist in the tip of our toe. They exist in our auric layers. They exist in all of our chakras. So there are always low frequencies there, and it is very important for all of us to understand that we all have these low frequencies, and the bulk of them came in service to Source, came in service to us agreeing to come here on the planet and move more of these low frequencies off the planet. So it is kind of like we are water filtration systems that we have said, oh yes, I'm going to come onto the planet, and everywhere I go, I'm just going to be kind of picking up more of the low frequencies and processing them through my body. And it is not by coincidence that you have access to people who know how to move these low frequencies, right? And many of you on the call actually have access to the information yourself, that you are learning how to move these low frequencies out. It is one of the agreements that you have in coming here. And in this lifetime, at this time on the planet, you agreed to come here, and you knew that there was going to be an opportunity for you to learn how to move these things out, for you to go up in frequency. And so it's really important that we understand that all of this is still by agreement, and it is exactly perfect the way it is happening, that as we move these low frequencies out, we start to have more awareness and more understanding. That another piece was actually a question that I saw Eileen make a comment about, that there are times that you may feel sad. And in this process of moving out low frequencies, you could literally be sitting on the sofa watching the funniest movie that you have ever seen and be laughing your ass off. I guess I'm allowed to say that. Laughing your ass off and suddenly be crying and feeling, fear or pain or sadness moving through your body. And so it is for us to understand that you haven't lost your mind. It's not time for you to be committed. That what is actually happening is that whether you are aware of it or not, there may have been some new frequencies that have come onto the planet, or a new download of information, or just a download of information. It does not necessarily have to be a new frequency. It could just be another round of love or joy or bliss or clarity. Anything that is there to alchemize the low frequencies that are in your body. And so you could have been so into the show that you were not paying attention to what came in, but you were very present to what is moving out of your body. And you understand that, when you start bawling your eyes out, it is no longer laughing so hard that you are crying, but that you are crying because you are moving out the sadness or the abandonment or whatever it happens to be that is moving out. And it's all of us having more clarity, and as Lily said, more discernment to understand that these are all processes that will very shortly be considered very normal, that we all will be talking about them like, oh yeah, last night I was sitting on the sofa and I was laughing like crazy, and all of a sudden I was bawling my eyes out, and then I was back to laughing again, and all of us just go, oh yeah, I know, that happened to me like 3 days ago. And so it is something that will become commonplace for us. But the time period that we are in right now is a time of, I'm actually hearing the word mass confusion. And it's kind of like there are so many things going on at once. And there's so many people, blabbering is actually the word that I'm getting. There's so many people talking that it's like a cacophony of noise. And so it isn't always easy to sift through and discern who you're supposed to be listening to and who has the correct information. But what is happening, once again, all by design, is that this is unfolding exactly as it was planned to unfold. And there are those of you that are on this call that start listening and go, wow, I really resonate with them. That really makes sense. And it is divinely perfect that you are here listening to us. And the din and the noise of all the other stuff has faded away. And all you can hear is what we are telling you. And it's not that what we are telling you is so amazing and incredible, but it's that what we are telling you absolutely resonates with your soul, that you understand on a level that is deeper than you can not always communicate. You understand that we are giving you exactly what is next for you, that you understand that it's like, oh, yes, that's what I needed. Yes, that's where I am going to next. And so they're like telling me to go ahead and say to you all that this doesn't always make Lily and I the most comfortable. We sometimes go like, no, let's not say that. Let's not tell them that we have a unique relationship with the angelic realm or that we are here to help them understand this. But it is something that is important for all of you to know and to be aware of, that beyond what we are comfortable with is for you all to know that you have some places that have appeared for you where you can get more information, where you can clear these low frequencies, where you can begin to heal, and something that your soul says, yes, give me more of that. Whew, okay, Lily, you can have the floor now.
Well, I just love everything that you said, Bonnie. And something that really sticks out for me is that word blabbering. And that's because we really do blabber so much. And as I'm sitting here, and we really are surrounded with so much support. Bonnie and I get to, wow, it's just such a gift to be able to be present to the Council of Souls that is here to guide us. We call them the masters, teachers, and loved ones. And they've been with us, some of them since the time our soul was born, and some of them only for certain lessons. And some of them just show up every once in a while to let us know that they care about us, that they love us, that they want us to do well. And they show up in different forms and in so many different ways. And then we have the angelic realm. And if you're on this phone call, I guarantee you that the level at which you're supported is beyond your wildest dreams. It really is. And if you could see yourself the way that they see you, and I'll include myself in that, if I could see myself the way they see me, there would be no limitation to what I could accomplish and what I could do. Beings or no beings in my space. Because you know what? I'm so powerful that I could allow any being to be in my space and not ruin my day. So that would be kind of like a way to look at it, right? So the blabbering piece that I really connected with what you were saying, Bonnie, is more along the lines of how we're evolving and how we're starting to be more in awareness of how we're showing up in the world. Somebody, I think it was Jill Jones was talking about the thoughts and how can low frequencies exist in my thoughts? Like I could be feeling wonderful, but then all of a sudden my thoughts start having thoughts that are negative. And the reality is that thoughts don't have thoughts. Thoughts are thoughts. We have thoughts, and it's not even our essence that has thoughts. Our brain has thoughts, and that's part of our personality, not our essence. And what they want us to know about that is that part of us that is blabbering is listening to those thoughts and is listening to the belief systems that have been piled upon us through years and years of acculturation and the lifetimes that we've had with religious programming and with nationalism and with all the things that we've been subjected to through our different lifetimes, including torture and murder and, you know, whatever you can imagine, we've all experienced it. And so we have not had a lot of room to feel safe being in a body. And so it's normal. And it's like, of course, in this lifetime, which, by the way, for every single person on this call, whether you're listening live or on the recording, one of the things they want us to know is that for every single person on this call, this lifetime is the highest frequency lifetime that you have ever had. And that's really significant, because what that means is that in this lifetime, you have the opportunity to clear so much more of those low frequencies that you've been carrying with you. And we have all the support of our Council of Souls and all the masters and teachers that are helping us. And that's a really beautiful thing. So we can really literally move away from our thought system and our blabbering about the thoughts that keep coming into our head and into our minds, and connect instead with the divine lines of communication that are coming through in our heart. Most of us don't believe too much in our hearts, because we think of our hearts as it's an organ that pumps blood through our body. And of course, that is the truth. But we haven't understood yet the divine aspect of our heart and the levels of electrical impulses of information that is moving through our heart. And that is really where so much of the communication that's coming from our essence, which is really the communication that we want to pay attention to. It's the voice, that beautiful voice that only speaks to us about how wonderful we are and how powerful we are and how capable we are of loving and being loved, and how capable we are of forgiving and being forgiven, and how capable we are of being compassionate with ourselves and with others. That's the voice that we want to listen to, and it's not coming from our brains. I guarantee you that. Our brain is a flight or fight machine. Our brain tells us when to run and when to sit still, when to eat and when to not eat, when to sleep and when to not sleep. Our heart is the one who is telling us it's time to love. It's time to forgive. It's time to experience compassion. And so when we're connecting with, and because we need it all, you know, we can't do without our brain. Part of our experience here in these human bodies is to master the functioning of how we think and the functioning of how we integrate belief systems, so that we are continuing to be masters of our lives rather than allowing some thought to take over who we are, or allowing some mental constructs or some belief system to tell us who we are and how we should act and how we should be and how we should feel. So all those emotions and all those low frequencies have a purpose. We wouldn't be experiencing them if they didn't have a purpose. And that's why we're saying we don't want to just ditch them all just randomly. We want to be able to identify what is the awareness. And so this beautiful frequency of discernment that we've been receiving, which, by the way, is still being downloaded for us, and it's now settling tremendously in our entire electrical system, and it's really moving its way to our whole energetic field, which is wonderful. So we're really here to master what it is to be human through understanding those thoughts and those belief systems that keep us small, that keep us in a place of resistance, that keep us in a place of freedom. By bringing in high frequencies, and this is what awareness allows us to do, and this is what discernment allows us to do, is to bring in those frequencies of love and joy and healing and compassion and forgiveness and understanding and comprehension. And that place of really understanding that we're not all the same, but we are all one. And eliminating the illusion of separation. That's what really brings us to the highest possible states, and we're moving through that right now. We've all worked really hard to be here in this moment, in this incarnation. And we all have the role that we have, and we're all contributing to humanity. So what they're really wanting us to know for today is for us to look at the things that we're moving through in our life through the eyes of our essence, through the eyes of our soul, and to look at those low frequencies, for example, confusion. If we embrace confusion and ask our essence, why are we choosing confusion right now? Can you show me what the teaching is? Please show me what the teaching is. And then when you're shown the teaching, then allow yourself to actually get the teaching. Release your attachment to confusion. Because sometimes confusion serves a purpose that we're not aware of. Sometimes confusion allows you to get away with not being responsible, or to get away with not being in awareness. And so give yourself the permission to give up the confusion by bringing in discernment and bringing in wisdom and bringing in knowledge and allowing yourself to raise your frequency so that you can, in fact, begin to feel freedom around that. Because once you get the teaching, guess what? Your essence will allow you to move on to the next thing. And then the confusion will disappear. And you don't have to make it wrong. You don't have to go take some kind of prescription medication because confusion causes anxiety for you. You don't need that. Just like you don't need to go to a mental hospital because you're hearing voices that you know don't belong in your ears, in your hearing space. Those are low frequency beings that are trying to tell you something that isn't your truth. And so allow yourself to embrace them and thank them for whatever protection they were there for, and tell them that it's time for them to move on because you no longer need protection. You no longer need to be protected from your clairaudience. You no longer need to be protected from all your abilities, your superpowers. It's now time to step into those superpowers. So we're getting another download that's coming in right now. And it's this like really, really gigantic gold white light that's coming in for everybody. And I'm seeing all the geometric figures. I'm seeing like all these beautiful triangles and cubes. I'm seeing a lot of cubes and little triangles and I'm seeing musical notes too. They're really coming down for us. It's like a beautiful, I don't know, it feels like almost like a blanket of love and a blanket of beautiful music and giving us a new voice, giving us a new place to stand in our own truth and connecting with the pure essence of who we are, standing for ourselves and saying, yeah, I'm here to speak about my truth. I'm here to recognize and own all my power. I feel safe. I trust. I feel safe. I don't think I'm going to have my head chopped off in this lifetime because I have a superpower like clairvoyance. I really don't think that's going to happen. So let me step into my superpowers. Let me not resist them anymore. Let me let go of all this unworthiness and let me step into who I am as a loving, powerful being of light. Divinity in form at the highest possible place that I have ever been in all of my lifetimes. And so let's really step into that and embrace that place. Wow, so this download is moving in for everybody. It's coming in through the upper chakras. So it's really coming in very, very high above, and it's moving down. Actually, I'm seeing a lot of central sun energy as well coming through for all of us. Whew. So they're saying this download's gonna take place for the next 6 hours. It's a beautiful download of love and creation and power and light, and helping us all to, on top of the discernment, to be able to step into who we are powerfully and magically, the beings that we've come here to express ourselves as, in connection with Source and with everyone else on this planet, whether we're here in service, and most of us are here in service, or were we here to help or be helped. So pat yourself on the back and be really, really in gratitude that you're here right now in this time and space. It is a miraculous time to be here.
Wow. So from almost the very first words that you said, the level of support you have is beyond your wildest dreams. To the very end, it was just a powerful bit of information. And, you know, Lily, for those people who haven't been on our calls for long, you have, you've stepped into a huge amount of power, but it's really fun to see how the information comes in and you've really slowed it down. And it's just like, wow, it's so cool to watch the energy. It's like build, 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 and then it bursts. And I love that Isaac has said the sun rays, because that's really how it's showing up, is just like these bursts that are coming through. So it's amazing to watch.
Yeah. And I'm seeing some silver now too, that I don't usually see silver, but it's coming through a lot of silver kind of frequencies, and they're undulating, and they're kind of joining this other frequencies that have been coming in. And I haven't seen that undulating silver, I don't think, ever before. And it's really, really beautiful. Mm-hmm. We're also receiving some crystal activations, which feel really nice, and they're coming down straight from the Crystal Palace. So that's really cool. Can you say
powerhouse?
Something about the Crystal Palace, Bonnie?
A little something about the Crystal Palace. So the Crystal Palace was actually just finished completion in the last 2 years. It has not been around for a long period of time, and the Crystal Palace actually exists on the 12th plane of the astral. And it is, the way I always see it is kind of like the Superman movie. I think it's probably the very first Superman movie, where it's it literally is a crystal palace, and there's just so much information that comes from there. It's absolutely beautiful. It's very beautiful. So, so we do want to thank all of you who have showed up. Rosanna, I love that every week you put in blessings for all of us, and you're so appreciative of everything that we do. We love that. We thank every one of you who put some information into the chat, who really stepped up and gave us some great information. We absolutely love you. Lily, do you have that one? Can you? Oh, here. Let's do. There we go. Beautiful. And we do want to let you know that we have a talk next week. There's 2 more left. Next week, we are doing the Ask Your Essence, Soul and Agreements. We are definitely going to be talking a lot more about that. Who knew that there was so many questions around that. And then on September 25th, which is going to be our last one for 4 weeks, we are going to be talking about Kundalini, Tantra, and sexual channels. That one's going to be off the charts. I can only imagine what is going to come through with all of that. So that is the next 2 weeks. And then we really want to take just a moment to remind you all that there are opportunities for you to continue to get more healing from us. One, listening to this recording again always gives you additional information, gives you additional healing. The frequencies come in at the level you are at the time that you listen to it. And so when you go up in frequency, you listen to it again, and you get to go up in frequency again. So it is always worth listening to it again. You will find them on SoundCloud. You will find them on YouTube. And there is also an incredible opportunity for you to get the Chakra Activation Series. We took that chakra series that we did, those 9 weeks of chakra activations, and we put them together into a single package so that you can listen to them over and over again. And we are consistently getting people saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I missed that piece of information, or you wouldn't believe how much more healing I got around my first chakra, my second chakra, every single one of them. So those are available. You can find the links on our website. You can find the links on Facebook. Please consider doing that for yourself. It's definitely.
Yeah. Okay. We're kind of really losing you there, Bonnie.
It's definitely about your healing. I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we love you all. Thank you for being here. Have an amazing week. Write to us. We love hearing from you. We love being able to respond to you. So Have an amazing week and take it easy tonight. Let these downloads come in and love on you. And again, we love you so much. Good night, everyone.